Welcome, participant. Uh, वेलकम सर, अश्विन कुमार भारद्वाज सर. सर आप लेक्चर स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं सर.
ओके। आज के होस्ट कौन है आपके?
HRDC सर.
HRDC है। आप कौन बात कर रहे हैं, मैं जान सकूंगा?
सर, गौरव बात कर रहा हूँ सर.
ओ गौरव, ठीक है गौरव। ओके, थैंक यू गौरव।
यस सर.
We are starting with our post lunch session, and this is on the skill development, which is an integral part of the National Education Policy 2020. I'm thankful to the Malviya Mission Teachers Training Program and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Sambhajinagar University for organizing this online orientation, 24th online orientation program for sensitizing the teachers community about NEP 2020. My talk is going to be focused primarily on the Skill Development Center, the employability aspect of the National Education Policy. We are going to divide this whole session, which is going to run almost for 2.5 hours, into 2 to 3 sessions. We'll have a break in between for 5 to 10 minutes because it's extremely hot and extremely humid at the same time. So we'll take a conscious break in between. And then we'll have the last 15 minutes where you can have questions and answers. In between also, if you have the question, but I would like you to put it in the window, the chat window, your question, and we can take it at the appropriate time. Why I'm telling you this? Because we would like to have a continuation and the flow in the session rather than having a break in between. So if you are all are comfortable in English, I would like to go in English. I would like to know from the participants, is English okay for you all, or you would like to go for some other language also? Gaurav, you can tell me which language they would like to prefer. Hello? English is fine. Roll number 14 says English is fine. You can put it in the chat box so that I can get a glimpse of it, what you are all looking for, okay? That's fine. I think let's go in English. If all are comfortable with English, let's go with the English, okay? So before starting the session, we would be like to focus on the preamble of what the National Education Policy has proposed to us. When we talk about National Education Policy 2020, it proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of education. It's like a complete paradigm shift from a very conventional thought process to more open, more, I would like to say, giving a lot of insights into the learner-centric approach. So it's not only the revision, okay? We know there were so many education commissions which were there in the past, right from Kothari, Mudliar, and so on. They all have given certain insights, but this policy, National Education Policy 2020, has gone into more into details. It is not only the revision, revamping of all aspects of education, including educational structure, regulations, governance, to create a new system which is going to align with the aspirational goals of 21st century students. The moment we say 21st century and the moment we say aspirational goals, because today in our education system, okay, are we just giving them the degrees, or are we giving them the skill sets? Are we giving them the employability skills which we all look for? So something, this educational policy is not going to work on the educational structure. It's not just working on the regulation. It's not just working on the governance. It is creating a new system which is going to be aligned. Aligned in the sense where the aspirational of lakhs of students, okay, are going to be matched up somewhere in this educational policy. That's where the skill development comes at the center. It is the most revolutionary type of a thought which is going to be implemented over a period of a time in a what I would say in a progressive way by 2035. So slow, but it is going to make a huge impact because it's going to talk about what the youth aspires for. The youth, at times we find it out that they are on a crossroad. At times we find it out they are more confused. At times, whether our degrees are able to give them the jobs or not. So there are lot many thought processes which are being put into it. Lot many brainstorming has been done so that somewhere they should match to the aspirational goals. What I aspire that today's youth aspire for something different. Okay, he is not only for job. He is talking about entrepreneurial skills. He talks about startups. There are so many platforms where the youth is looking forward from the National Education Policy 2020. According to the policy by 2020, at least 50% learners through the school and higher education system should have exposure to vocational education. A huge aspirational aspect. It's not just limited to higher education. It's not limited to, say, uh, standard 11th and 12th. It's talking about a revolution which has to be brought into the school education system. And it says that 50% of the learners 50% of the learners through the school and higher education system shall have an exposure to vocational education. Right now, if we talk about our gross enrollment ratio, which is somewhere in between 22 to 25%, imagine the magnitude of taking it to 50%, whatever capacity we are having today. If we have a 25%, doubling it to 50%, and that too in 1 or 2 years span, like 2025, we say, seems to be not possible because of the pandemic period which we have faced during the period of implementation of 2020 Educational Policy 2020. So we can calculate that we are in reverse order by 2 years. So by 2027, the gross enrollment ratio in higher education has to be stepped up to 50%, a huge leap if we talk about. At the same time, this education policy also says that 100% enrollment in the school. That means dropouts are to be marginalized. Dropouts are to be brought back into the education system so that these dropouts have basic skills. So whenever they move out from the school system or from the college system, they have one skill set with them. Minimum one, they can have multiple, but minimum one is what the target of National Education Policy 2020 is. At least one skill has to be given to them. At the same time, for which a clear action plan with targets and timelines are developed. That means the system is already enrolled, the system is already enforced, the system is already working now. So it was planned. Now we are seeing that it is somewhere getting executed at the same time. The policy aims to overcome the total social status hierarchy associated with the educational system. We have seen it out. It's not the new thing. We have introduced vocational education previously also, but there is always something which has to do with the stigma which it carries, the status, social status which the vocational courses carry, has somewhere taken it a backseat. But now it's a very conscious decision that we are supposed to take away that, what social status hierarchy associated with the vocational education and integration of vocational education into mainstream education in all in the middle and the secondary, this one, and into a more phased manner. We all know that how vocational courses previously are being treated. We have BVOC courses, we have bachelors of vocational courses. How the society has reacted to it, how the society has taken it, whether they were receptive, whether they were open, how the industries have taken it to it. So in a very phased manner, this whole transformational exercise is going to be taken. with beginning with vocational exposure at early ages in the middle and the secondary school. That means something is going to be done in the school education system, because you have to brought that into the school education system. Unless and until you brought, not going to bring it out of the school education system, it would be very difficult to take it into the higher education one. So something has to be done in the middle secondary school. Quality vocational education will be integrated smoothly into schools and higher education. It has to be done smoothly. You cannot do it haphazardly. A phased manner calculation, a phased manner plan and execution has to be done, and it will be done from the schools. Grade 6 onwards, the vocational education is going to be introduced, and the objective is whoever pass out from the school must have at least one basic skill that can take him to the employability or close to the employability, or he or she is going to be at least having something called as that he is going to be have applicability, that he can apply somewhere. May not get an appointment as such, but somewhere he will become employable. That's a different story whether employability is generated or not. At least the employability will come into the force. So if right from the school, every child will learn at least one vocation and exposed to several more. The intention is clear that at least one, but he can be exposed to many others. So the process is the schools are supposed to give them the choices. The schools, whether they are modern schools, private aided school, unaided schools, whichever it may be, they have to introduce from sixth standard onwards, minimum one, but they can expose it to many other vocational also. This would lead to emphasizing the dignity of labor and importance of various vocations involving Indian art and artmanship by 2025. Dignity of labor is what the national education policy is talking about. We have seen it out. Skills set or the vocational courses by and large in the society are being not taken in a positive way, or they are being considered as second grade or the third grade education. But this national education policy is making an effort that they will get the dignity of labor, what skill set they are putting it, what mindset they are putting it. And by 2025, 50% learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education for the whole, for every school and for every college or every institute of higher education. Vocational education will be integrated in the educational offering of all secondary schools in a phased manner in next decade. As we all know, and we are going to get into the deeper of it, that vocational education will be integrated with the main. Right now, we used to have the vocational education can be only provided by the technical institutes, whether it may be government polytechnic or college of engineering or vocational. They were absolutely separated. They were absolutely taken as a different unit. Now this is going to change. The mainstream education, the mainstream colleges are going to be made to offer vocational courses. So there is going to be an integrity. There is going to be what I would say interdisciplinary aspect. There is going to be choices within the mainstream, whether it is an arts college or a commerce college or a science college. Previously, the whole thought process was that this vocational course is something which is going will go well with the technical institutes. Now that aspect is being removed, that aspect has been taken over. Technical education or the vocational education is going to be the integral part of every mainstream education. So there's going to be integrity which is going to be brought into it. That can be brought in a different ways. It can be internship, it can be apprenticeship, it can be hands-on experience, job on training. There can be different aspects which we are going to talk about. But there is not going to be hardcore separations as such, that only technical institutes are going to offer the vocational courses and the conventional art, science, and commerce colleges are going to offer the theoretical aspect. No way they are supposed to they are supposed to amalgamate between the two. So amalgamation process, and more important, there is going to be an integration of this, and it will start from the secondary schools in a phased manner in the next decade. So everything is going to be done in a phased manner. Nothing is going to be done in a, what I would say, in a very, very unplanned way. It's going to be in a phased manner. The development of vocational capacity will go hand in hand with the development of academic and other capacities. That means both the academic capacities of the child, the intellect capacity of the child, or the learner, will go hand in hand with a vocational aspect too. So both the the faculty of the mind, okay, the faculty of the intellect and the fine motor skills, psychomotor skills, are going to be organized in such a way that it creates a harmony. It's not going to create a disharmony, but it is going to create a harmony, so that apart from the intellectual faculty development, it is going to also develop the other capacities. Because otherwise, when we talk about education, and education, we find it out, is it really an education, or we are talking about academics only? Because academic is something which is related to the grades. Academic is something which is related to the performance in the examination. Talks about the curriculum. It talks about the syllabus. It talks about the evaluation. It talks about syllabus. It talks about structure. But real life education is something which is ongoing process. The values which you learn, the integrity which you learn, the creativity which you must have, the visualization which we must have. So somewhere that faculties are not being taken in a serious mode in the elsewhile, what I would say, education commissions. But this time, the NEP is talking about both. You're supposed to develop an academic which is going to be very close to your education. So education is a wider concept, whereas academics is a limited. So the academic capabilities are also to be developed. And this is what is going to be taken care when we are introducing vocational courses, vocational capacities into it. To achieve the objective, secondary school have to collaborate with. Now, from where this things are going to happen? We have to collaborate, and the collaboration, immediate collaboration, is going to be government technical institutes, the ITIs which we talk about. And we talk about the polytechnics which are there in every taluka. Nowadays, in every taluka, you have a polytechnic or an ITI. At the same time, you have local industries. Maharashtra is the most progressive state when it comes to the industrialization, or when we talk about the industrial growth. So there are local industries which are already working. We are supposed to do a partnership with them. We are supposed to design the curriculum which matches the requirement of the industry, which we are going to take into our whole session today, okay? And the skill labs. There are skill labs. Universities have innovation hubs nowadays, and they have innovation centers. Schools are empowered with utter tinkering labs. So already the homework has been done. From the last 10 years or 7 years, utter tinkering labs in most of the government aided, unaided schools, they have come up in a big way, because the national education policy talks about the artificial intelligence, talks about coding, decoding, it talks about robotics, it talks about telecommunication, it talks about electronics, it talks about so many conventional, at the same time unconventional use of technology. So yes, industries, we need to have a public-private partnership when it comes to the industries with the academia. Today, we find it out that is missing somewhere, and that actually hampers the employability percentage of the youth today. And that's why we find it out at times that the unemployability is going up, because the skill set, the mindset which the industries are asking for is somewhere mismatched, is somewhere not able to be taken care, is somewhere it is being not perfectly synchronized or matched with the academia and the need of the industry. So yes, the private, the skill labs, the polytechnics, the IITs are going to be taken into it. Skill labs will also be set up and created in the schools, and it is going to be as a spoken wheel, which will allow other schools to use the facilities. We are going to see a change. There is going to be a lot of clustering of the schools, a lot of clustering of the colleges, so so that the resource mobilization becomes easy, so that the children are benefited by the skill set of the faculty, by the infrastructure which has been put in one school, can be used by multiple users. So yes, clustering is going to happen. Educational hubs are going to be created. Schools are going to be clustered, and even colleges are going to be clustered in a very progressive, systematic manner. At the same time, higher education institutions will offer vocational education either on their own or in partnership with industries and other institutions. So there's going to be a lot of freedom. There is going to be a lot of autonomy to the higher educational institutions, that they can go independently or they can collaborate with the local industries, which we at times find it out becomes really challenging. Why it becomes really challenging? The reason is simple, that we have a mismatch. What the industries is asking and what we are offering. So we are going to talk about that also in our today's this lecture. But the partnership, public-private partnership with the industries and the institution, is going to be this central figure for the success of vocationalization of higher education. That means we would like to have progressive industries coming up, helping academia, designing their curriculum, and even at the same time, working on the practical aspect of how these skill sets can be introduced to the higher education. There are recommendations which are being done by National Education Policy 2020. There are n numbers of recommendations, but we are going to focus on few of them which are like path breaking. Okay, path breaking in the sense the real path breaking. We might not have imagined it, but it is coming up in a big way. And most of the private universities, even in the conventional universities, it has started happening now, and it has started happening in an implementing way. No hard separation between the science, between curriculum, between extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams, etc. There is no hardcore separation. Till now, we used to go for hardcore separations. The moment I say hardcore separations, art students are not entertained into commerce, commerce students are not entertained in science, and science one is not entertained in arts. It was completely it's completely like too much of separation, too much of division between the conventional school subjects. If you are offered an art, you cannot go for any science subject. And if you have taken science, you are not offered to go to any commerce subject. Today, it's all in the platter. Today, it is open. Today, you can venture into different domains. Arts wala can also study what is happening in the commerce. If I'm interested to know what is happening in the marketing, what is happening in the retail, what is happening in the stock market, what is happening in the real estate, what is happening in the GST, what is the tax calculation, or what is the taxation policy of India. So an art student can go into that. A commerce student can understand the psychology of the customer, can understand how the recruitment is done, can see that how economics is being studied. He can see how sociology comes into the picture when you are going to do it. He can understand the demographical significance of the marketing. Okay. So different subjects can be amalgamated. So the first thing which has been done by the National Education Policy 2020 is, and very prominent, now onwards, we are not going to have any hard separation. The moment the hard separations are being taken, it means it is basically taken up in order to eliminate harmful hierarchies among and between different areas of learning. Because previously, If you have art separation, even if you have a aptitude of learning music, but since you are in science, you can't opt for music. Since you are in a science, you can't opt for humanities. Since you are into medical field, you can't go for human psychology, or you can't go for economics, you can't go for marketing. Today, even for a doctor, marketing becomes one of the prominent subject, which if he is not being given in the curriculum, finds very difficult when he is supposed to establish his business or to set up a hospital practically. You need to have the advices of the consultants. But over here, the national education policy is giving you that spectrum, choice, electives. The student can carry the electives, which we are going to focus on, okay, during our session. But this is something which I would say is a big game changer when we don't have separations. Otherwise, we might have seen it out. Colleges are being named as art college, only art students. Commerce college in metropolitan cities like Mumbai and all, we used to find it out as a commerce college, it's a science college. Single unit, single stream, single faculty, colleges used to run. Now, because of the national education policy, we are supposed to see that probably the single subjects are also supposed to offer other subjects too. Now, this is all about the administrative things which the universities are to look into it, that how they are going to give that platter to the students. At the same time, a concentrated national effort will be made to ensure universal access and offered opportunities to children of the country to obtain quality, holistic education, including vocational education from preschool to grade 12, from grade 12 to higher education. Education should be affordable. Education must have a quality, and it must have universal things. Okay. Universality is something which is being brought into it. Means across the universities, can we have something which can go very common? Can we have syllabus which can go common? Can we have evaluation pattern which goes common? Can we have certain strategical plannings which can be common for across India? Okay. Otherwise, we used to find it out. Universities have their own system of evaluation, system of setting up the syllabus, system of offering the subjects to the students. And if one boy has to, uh, for any reason, have to shift to another university, he used to get paralyzed. But the moment he used to come to know that this subject is not there in his commerce, which the other university was previously offering. Now that all is going to change over a period of a time where the student is going to be, this whole study is going to be, the national education policy itself is student-centric now. The focus is the learner, and that learner is to be taken into confidence that what he or she wants to learn. The secondary stage will comprise from 4 years of multiple disciplinary study. Now we all know, building on subject-oriented, pedagogical, and curriculum style of the middle stage, but the greater depth attention of life aspiration, flexibility, and student choice of subjects. Imagine who is going to choose the subjects. And it will start from the schools itself. It will start from the standard eights itself. There cannot be a forceful intervention from the schools. Okay, you have to take this as a mandatory subject. You have to take this as a compulsory subject. You don't have a choice. Now, that choice or that aspect is being taken away now. National education policy is giving students the choice to pick up the subjects. They're giving you a wider spectrum, that they are giving the student a wider spectrum to pick up. That means it's going to be student-centric learning. In particular, students will continue to have the option of exiting after grade 10, re-entering in the next phase, and vocational, any other course available in grades 11 and 12. That is where we talk about multiple entry and multiple exits. a student will have choice. For the first time, the learning is going to be at the pace of the learner, not by the pace of a institute or by the curriculum or by the structure itself. So the the learner is going to decide. The learner is going to phase out. The learner is going to make the progress. The learner is going to make a choice. I want to exit at my second year of BA. I want to exit at my third year of BA. And I would like to re-enter in the fifth year of my this. So you have the choice. The students are going to be empowered to have a choice. Till now, it's all about structure. It is all about universities which used to offer. It's all about the colleges which used to offer the subjects. Now, henceforth, the colleges, even standard 8th student is going to pick up the subject. Standard 8 student will have that freedom to drop a subject and pick the other subject. So it's going to be more. That's the reason when we say it's more student centric. It's going to be the interest of the teacher student, which is more important than what the structure says. So it's going to happen right from the school, and it will continue to the colleges and the universities also. It's going to be more specialized. It's going to be more unique way of it. Student will be given increased flexibility and choice of subjects to study. Increased flexibility. Now, if I talk about the increased flexibility, that means that the job of the teacher is going to increase too much. He has to create that interest in the student that his subject has a practical applicability in the society. His subject is something which is application based, something which is going to give him bread and butter, something which is going to make him more employable. So it's going to be a big task how the interest of the students can be taken care by the faculty. Okay. The faculty needs to motivate, even it may be related to languages, even it may be related to history, geography, political science, economics, how these subjects are. Forget about that. We used to talk about that these are the subjects which are being too good for their Union Public Service Commission or the uh, local Maharashtra Public Service Commission or other state public service commissions. That's okay. But is that something more than that? What you can put across to them, how language can play a very significant role, how history plays a very significant role, how geography has a practical approach, okay, in solving our day-to-day issues. So the teacher's job is going to make the subject more interesting. The teacher's job is going to make so that if you make interesting, the students will offer to take the subjects. Otherwise, it's going to be a very difficult job for the students to pick up. So teachers' responsibility is going to go multifold because they are going to choose the subjects to study, particularly in secondary education. I'm saying it will all start in the school itself. It all starts from standard 8 onwards. Huge responsibility on the teachers' shoulders that how they will make their subjects interesting, how they will make their subjects, what I would say, that the student should pick them up. It cannot be just that mathematics is very important. If you want to become an engineer, you must have mathematics. If you want to become engineer, you must study physics, chemistry, biology, or whichever subject. If you want to become a doctor, you must have biology at your level. You cannot. Right now, what is happening is this is the way we are going ahead. But NEP is going to bring that change, particularly in the secondary school, including subjects in physical education. For the first time, as I mentioned earlier, since there are no hard separations, since there is no hard separation in curricular and extracurricular, this one, physical education is going to have the golden years in coming years in education. The moment I say physical education, that means sports. Sports which was marginalized, sports which was always having a backseat in our curriculum. Now it's being brought into curriculum itself. So physical education, which we all talk about, it's not about the exercise and playing games. It is beyond. It has to talk about the fitness. It's going to talk about the endurance. It's going to talk about the stamina, agility, flexibility, so many things. We have seen it out in higher education also, or in the school education also. We find it out. Students are not physically fit. They have issues at very early age because earlier educational commissions have not given significant importance to physical education. And the physical education, it itself is the first and the foremost foundation stone if you really want to build a building, if you really want to build a strong educational system. We need to work on the physical education to the core. And that's where it is missing. Physical education is missing. Completely it is missing. And that's the reason when the exams comes close by, when we see it out, there are so many physical issues, right from obesities in the schools. There is no proper dietary plans. There is no proper exercise schedule. There is no periods. Even if there are periods, they are on paper most of the times. And most of the time, these periods are being taken by whom? By taken by the science teachers, by taken by the language teachers, by taken by the maths teachers. And the students are not encouraged to play games. They are not encouraged to do the regular exercises in the schools. And if this is happening in the schools, I need not to talk what happens in the colleges. What is happening to the physical education at the college level? You all know it very well. It's not in the what I will say, the most concerned list of the colleges. It's always in the secondary list. Handful boys and the girls plays on the playground. Rest all are being into the classrooms. That's the sorry state of affair. So the choice in the subjects in the physical education, the arts and the crafts. Arts and crafts are being made nowadays hobbies. Nowadays made optional subjects, okay? But this national education policy is playing a significant role that these are not marginalized subjects anymore. We are going to have proper arts, crafts, and vocational skill units established in the schools so that they can design their own paths of studies and life plans. Today, we decide what the child is to do. Today, we say, take arts, take commerce, take this. Tomorrow, after the successful implication of the National Education Policy 2020, the students, the learners are going to decide that what they like. Today, we neglect that like because we have highly structured way of offering the subjects. There is no flexibility. You can choose this, you cannot choose that. This will not go well. Now the bandwidth has changed. Now the spectrum have changed. The choice is going to be with the in the hands of learner. And that's what the reason I was saying that it's more of a student-centric learning than a teacher-centric or curriculum-centric. Integration of vocational education programs into the mainstream education in a phased manner, including beginning with the vocational exposure at early ages in the middle and the secondary school, which I've already talked. In a more phased manner, everything is going to be done in the schools so that the boy should not, or the girl should not have a shock of their life that, okay, why this vocational education has come up in the higher education? Why it is being introduced in the colleges now? It will be introduced in the school first. So the culture is going to be built in a phased manner. It is going to be treated as one of the subject of the curriculum so that it enjoys that status of the mainstream subject. There is a lot of brainstorming which has already started happening that how we are going to bring vocational education into the mainstream education. That is happening and it is going to happen. And it is happening in a most, what I would say, wonderfully well, beautiful way. It is happening in most of the universities. It's happening in the schools. It has started happening. Maharashtra has implemented the National Education Policy 2020 from the next academic year, starting from the standard first, in a more progressive way, one, second, third, fourth. But in the higher education, it is already being begun. It's already being started. So in a phased manner, it will be included. Loka Vidya, that is important of vocational knowledge developed in India. is going to take a front seat. We talk about that most of the skills are no more existing now. Most of our way of paintings, most of the artworks, articrafts, designings are nowhere. This National Education Policy 2020 has brought back the local vidya, which is local science, local art, local handicraft, local aspect, okay, which is going to be brought back into it and will be made accessible and students through integration into vocational courses. There are so many, you may say, sculptural designing. There are so many arts which every local or village or a city has of its own. But in the past, in the progressive years, last years, we find it out we are diminishing with them. We find them, they are no more now. Some of them are almost getting extinguished. Okay, this was our art once upon a time. Should not be the story with remaining arts. So that's where the local vidya is going to come in a big way. That is going to be the local handicraft, local craftsmanship is going to come in a big way. At the same time, vocational education will be integrated in all schools, in higher education institution, in a phased manner, as I've already mentioned, from the next decade. Focus areas of vocational education will be chosen based on the skill gaps. That's more interesting. There are skill gaps, and the skill gaps are huge skill gaps. The moment I talk about the skill gaps, industries are not having what we are offering in the colleges. You all will agree with me. Most of the industries say that okay, these are the skills which were outdated. These are the skill sets which we don't need. They may be primary, they may be okay, but they cannot be used to perform excellently well in the industry. And most of the industries used to say time and again that we have to put almost 6 months to 1 year in making them what the industry is demanding, what the industry is looking for. So there used to be a lot of skill gap, what the industry is asking for and what we are offering. If the industry is asking for a state of art of technology to be learned by the learner, and if we are still stagnated at grade C, grade B, grade 2 level of technology, industries will not welcome that. So we have to do a systematic gap analysis. That gap analysis can be done very well when we have academia and industry interface. What industry is asking for and what we are offering. Now forget about conventional school or conventional colleges. There is going to be a huge gap. Even if I take technologically, even if I take technical institutions, maybe like Bachelor of Engineering and Civil Maintenance or Production or Software, the skill gap is still existing even in the technical subjects. Industry is asking something different. We are offering something different. So there need to be a proper gap analysis, and that has to be taken care. What the industries are asking for. In a very phased manner, vocation choosing, gap analysis, and mapping of local opportunities. What the local opportunities are available? Is there any availability of local opportunities? We talk about tourism industries, we talk about medical tourism nowadays, we talk about industries, we talk about uh, agriculture in a big way, we talk about so many things. What is that is going to make it local opportunities? We have to map that. What is there in the, sometimes you find it that horticulture is in a big way in industry, okay. Some of the parts of Maharashtra where the grapes are being, is a main, what I would say, agriculture output. In some it's oranges, in some it may be mangoes, in some part of it. So you have the local opportunities also available. Can we have food processing unit coming in a big way? Can we have something else coming in a big way? So one has to see what is there which are available for the local as a local opportunities. At the same time, Ministry of Human Resource Development which was previously named as HRD. Now it is known as Ministry of Education. So we have Ministry of Education at this, which will constitute a national committee for the integration of vocational education. The committee has already started working, which is how we are supposed to mitigate, how we are supposed to integrate the mainstream education and the vocational education. At the same time, consists of experts in vocational education and representatives across the ministries. There are 21 ministries, those who have came together. It may be Ministry of Road and Transportation, it may be Ministry of Railway, it may be Ministry of Aviation, it may be Ministry of Heavy Industries, it may be Ministry of so many. 21 industries have, actual ministries have collaborated with each other, have joined hands to each other so that this employability aspect, so that the vocational skill implementation can go in a big, big way. So experts from vocational ministries with industry to oversee the effort of NEP 2020. So the ministries are ready to collaborate. The ministries are ready to join hands. It is the time that the academia also join hands together to offer the best. Individual institutions that early adopters must innovate to find models and practices that work and then share these others to other institutions. So one who is at the leading, okay, the one who has adopted it early, can he will become a role model? Can he start offering the success stories? Can he start offering the expertise for the other schools and the colleges also? At the same time, mechanisms set by the National Committee for the Integration of Vocational Education helps to extend to reach to the vocational education, different models of vocational education, apprenticeship, which I have talked about, internship, which I have talked about, will also be experimented by higher education institutions. Incubation centers will be set up in higher education institution in partnership with the industries. As I mentioned earlier, most of the universities now will have incubation centers. Innovation centers are coming up in big way to motivate, to see that what are the startups needs, what are the industrial, how we can bring that innovation back, the curiosity back, the imagination back, the visualization back, so that something creative, something beautiful can be created in these innovation centers. As I mentioned, almost every university today have an innovation center with the seed amount from the University Grant Commission by the central government or the Ministry of Science and Technology or Department of Science and Technology. There are so many funding agencies which are going to give them the seed amount so that this happens. The National Skill Qualification Framework, as you all know, NSQF, will be detailed further to each discipline, vocation, and profession. Every small task, every small job is going to be described in details. That is going to be taken care by the National Skill Framework question or questionnaire framework. Indian standards will be aligned with the international standards. Now, since we are talking about global aspiration of the youth for the 21st century, that means what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to see that our labor, our youth of today can match internationally, the competencies can match, the attitude, the adaptability, the learning which this students have learned in India should match across the globe. So that aspiration, Indian standards, will be designed with the international standard classification and occupation maintained by International Labor Organization. Means whatever we are offering should match globally. Gone are the days where you can say that, okay, I will learn and I will come back. No, industries are not ready for that. They said whenever you enter into the industry, you should be the best. Probably, yes, this best can be converted into the excellent, and excellent can be converted into something more. But at least at the entry level, we must have that skill set, that mindset which the industry is looking for and which is matched with the best with the International Labor Organization, ILO, because that they mark the standards, they mark the benchmarking. They are the one who standardize the job description, job specification, job analysis, like what the job is looking for. The candidate must have this one, two, three, four skill sets, temperamental skill set, hard skills, soft skills, what more. This framework will be provided the basis for recognition of prior learning. There are institutions, there are vocational institutions which are checking with the basic knowledge. Somewhere, what is there the child has already, what is his level of understanding of a particular skill set? Can we somewhere see that it is being matched with his previous experience, the practical experience with the relevant level of framework? What is the formal system? The credit-based framework will also facilitate mobility across general and vocational courses. When I say credit-based framework, the National Education Policy is sincerely working on credit-based system. Across India, we are going to have a credit-based. And this credit-based are going to be, if I learn something in one of the university and, and because of some of the other reason, I'm transferred or my parents are being transferred and we are moving into a different state, your credits will be carry forwarded. Your credits will not go waste. Your electives are not going to go waste, but they are going to be taken care. Now, what are the way aheads? Okay, way forward to it. As we know that these are the preamble, the vocational education is going to come in a big way. But the National Education Policy 2020 has the potentiality, explosive growth of vocational education. It's going to be a sea change in the system itself. Okay. Till now, vocational, as I mentioned, vocational learning was limited only to the technical institutions. And these technical institutions can be numbered, okay? Today, if we talk about institution of higher education, we are more than 50,000 to 55,000. If you talk about universities and colleges, which include autonomous colleges, which includes deemed universities, which includes regular universities, which include private universities, there are n numbers, okay? And these n number institutions has an explosive growth in the next next decade, where in every university, you will have one basic vocational unit setup coming in a big way. Till now, it was all computers. Till now, it was something. Now we are supposed to make a change. And that change is going to make a explosive growth in vocational education in the country, since it requires all education institutions to integrate vocational education into their offerings. You have to give that offering. Offering means you are supposed to give the choice. The institutes, those who are not offering vocational units, probably going to struggle the most. We have to give some offerings, okay? In schools, it can start from basic tailoring, it can start from basic mobile repairing, it can start from basic electrical working, it may start from basic home appliance repairs and maintenance, and gradually it will grow. Gradually, you will see that the boys are working on CNC machines, the boys are working on lathe machine, the boys are working on some other machines, okay? Gradual, progressive way. Two-wheeler repairing, four-wheeler repairing. There are so many things which are to be repaired and maintained. One can go for the basic civil works, basic carpentry, basic electrical, basic, which can go into advanced as the child moves ahead. This will bring in a very large enough schools, colleges, universities into the fold of potential vocational education and training. Remember, if you are supposed to introduce vocational education from sixth standard onwards, see the magnitude. If we talk about alone in Maharashtra, today there may be more than 1,80,000 schools. 80,000 schools, out of which 60+% are self-financed schools, and almost 40% schools are aided schools. Every school, every college, every institute of higher education has to go through implementation of vocational. It is a mandatory component. It's not what I would say choice based. It's not voluntary. It's not aichik. Aichik means I whether I would like to have it or not like to have. No way. You have to accept. You have to take the vocational education training providers during the coming decade and make vocational education training available in millions of schools and millions of students. So it's going to be a big, what I would say, sea change in the education where we typically used to study most of the subjects in a more conventional, though the subjects also are being conventional subjects, but skill-based learning will bring that change. The vocational empowerment, the vocational training institutes. Every school will have a segment of vocational education in the same premises over the next few decades. Colleges will have vocational units set up. As Maharashtra used to have MCVC, vocational courses, colleges already have started with the BVoc courses. Others have already started with something else. But it was with the limited institutions and with the limited schools or the students. Now this massive change, because why I'm saying is massive, because all schools and the institution of higher education has to pick vocational as one of the branch. And it is going to be the integrated branch. Integrated means part and parcel, compulsory, mandatory. It's no more optional. Would you like to learn vocation? No. You have to learn a particular vocation. You have to go by your choice, which we are going to see that which choices the child has or what are the ways to identify his or her own choices or his interest or something more than that. So the choices are going to be given to the learner. The learner is going to pick up which skill set he or she would like to, right from the conventional to the most advanced, right from the conventional to carpentry to some other, to the most advanced coding, decoding, and artificial intelligence, how we are going to use AI more smartly in our day-to-day functioning so that it improves our efficiency and it improves our performance to a next level. There are various challenges. Now, implementing vocational education in higher education is not very simple. I'm saying it's not very simple. It's challenging. It's challenges, and the action has to be taken to address these challenges. There are n number of challenges. In our next session, which we are going to have it in a 10 minutes break, after the 10 minutes break, we are going to see which are the challenges. कौन सी challenges हैं हमारे सामने, कौन सी challenges हैं जिसके कारण हमें वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को मेन स्ट्रीम में लाने में दिक्कत आ सकती है। लेकिन हम लोग इस पे डिस्कस करेंगे कि चैलेंजेस कौन सी हैं और उसके ऊपर हम कैसे एक्शन ले सकते हैं, कैसे हम उसको कम कर सकते हैं और अपनी जो सक्सेस स्टोरी है, ताकि वोकेशनल एजुकेशन में प्रॉपर, ताकि हम उसको प्रॉपर कर सकें और समझ सकें लोग कि एजुकेशन में हमने जो चॉइसेस दिए हैं, ओके, वो कहीं ना कहीं चैलेंजेस जो हैं उनको हम कैसे ओवरकम कर सकते हैं। नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, जैसे हमने कहा, कि एक बहुत अच्छा ड्राफ्ट है, एक बहुत अच्छा डॉक्यूमेंट है, और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना भी हमारी जवाबदारी बनती है। तो कौन सी चैलेंजेस हमें आएंगी कि वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को मेन स्ट्रीम में लेके आने में चैलेंजेस कौन कौन सी रहेंगी, वो हम, ठीक अभी 3:30 हो चुके हैं, हम करीब करीब 3:40 को एक साथ फिर से बैठेंगे। तब तक आप भी एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लीजिए और मैं भी एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेता हूँ। विल बी मीटिंग एट 340 again. So welcome back. Are we there? आप सब लोग हैं? I'm audible. आप मेरी आवाज सुन सकते हैं? Thank you. Now we were talking about the challenges, okay? How to bring vocational education into the mainstream, because that's what the success of bringing vocational education into the mainstream is going to happen. So what are the challenges and what actions we can take so that we are able to bring vocational education successfully into the mainstream? The first and the foremost challenge is overcoming social status hierarchy associated with the vocational education. We know that what sort of a thought process goes when somebody says that I'm doing a vocational course, I'm doing a non-conventional vocational course. So there is a hierarchy, there is a thought process, there is a judgment, there is certain things which are known as preconceived thoughts about the vocations. Rather, they are being treated as second grade. The primary grading is being taken care by the hardcore technical courses, hardcore, what I would like to say, the courses which are of an engineering background and all. But since we are supposed to bring it to the mainstream right from the schools, what actions we can do? The first and the foremost action which we can do is organization of awareness programs. Right now, what we are doing it, like sensitizing about the national education policy, is creating an awareness, is creating that what exactly the national education policy is drafted, what it is being put into the letters, everything. So awareness program is going on, sensitization of the whole national education policy is being going on. So the same thing we are supposed to do is organizing awareness programs to change the general perception and attitude towards vocational education. People's attitudes are to be changed. People's thought process has to be worked on. Most importantly, people's mindset had to be worked on. It all starts with the mind and it ends in the mind. Because people see that, okay, this is not a lucrative option. This is not something which is going to give me a lucrative job offers. This is something which is not the most fascinated about it. So we have to bring that change in the attitude, the perception of the people towards vocational education, which can be done only through awareness programs. That's number one. Vocational exposure to the children from grade 6, that is an action which is being brought into it now. So early age intervention can bring radical changes in the future, where you are bringing it as one of, not an option, but you are making it a mandatory. Okay, you are saying that this has to be done, this has to be done in this way. Early 6th grade onwards to all secondary and higher education schools, everyone is going to be the part of it, every class. Okay, 6th onwards. Why 6th? Because now we have seen it at the pre-primary section is going to be 1 to 5th. So the second level is going to start from 6th to 8th, and it will march ahead. So 6th onwards, the vocational is going to be introduced and it will go to higher secondary and it will go further to the colleges. Information, education and communication and media campaigns. We need to do a lot of media campaigns, which has a very, very significant impact on people nowadays. The digital presence, the digital power, the digital reach, outreach, massing, how you can reach to the masses with fraction of seconds and the minutes, the use of AI technology, how you can make it more effective presentation, and the utility theory behind it. At the same time, preparation and distribution of brochures, leaflets, pamphlets, video shows on vocational education and courses, how vocational education can transform education, how significant it is, how impactful it is, how it can bring a change in the society, you have to show a larger picture than what it is being projected. Okay, what is it is being. You have to show the how positively it affects the growth, how positively it affects the mindset, how positively it affects the intellectuality. Everything has to come into that way. The second challenge is integrating vocational education with the general education with the focus on social inclusion, gender equality, and inclusive education. This is the second challenge. And how we are going to do it? Introduction of skill-based activities from preschool to grade 12 that we have already discussed. Reframing curriculum through enhanced content of vocational knowledge. Somewhere we are supposed to reframe our or reform our curricula through enhanced content of vocational knowledge, skills, better course alignment with the skill standards, interdisciplinary content and connections, because national education policy is also talking about interdisciplinary. It is also talking about multidisciplinary. So somewhere we are supposed to bring the vocational education parameter also into the mainstream, seeing that how we can fix up the components in between. The third aspect which can be done is introduction of vocational interest inventory. Can we check with the help of the psychometric test what the child has, what is his potentiality, what is his aptitude, what is his interest? Can we introduce the interest inventories and aptitude test batteries right from the standard 10th and onwards, so that their choices of the career can be well established in the beginning. The moment you do it in the 10th standard, the more boy moving into the 11th or 12th or in higher education knows the the aptitude, the basic ability where he can do best. So the basic ability has to be checked in, and it can be checked with the help of standardized psychological tests. There are n numbers of psychological tests which can definitely measure the basic aptitude and the ability and the interest at the level of even at the intelligence, so that we can see that which career, which vocational choice matches perfectly with the interest. The moment it matches with the interest, I think it would be easier for the child, the learner, to adopt and to take on that particular type of a course. And ensuring that qualifications are relevant to perceived or social and economic needs, whatever we are giving, whatever qualifications we are going to put forward, they are also close to the social and the economic needs. Because whenever we are offering a vocational course, it has its linkage with the economic needs of the learner. What type of vocations we are offering and what type of social status or perceived social status it enjoys in the market, in the society. That also has to be checked, and then we are supposed to implement it. National occupational standard to be defined and by agreed learning outcomes and applied consistently across all institutions. You can make the process interesting, but we are supposed to make even learning outcomes and applied consistently across all institutions. It cannot be mismatched from one institute to another. They need to be consistently same across other institutes also. At the same time, focus on good practices and innovations by teachers in teaching learning. The teacher need to be a real innovator. The teacher need to be a real one who is bringing that approach of creativity into it, innovation into it, so that the teaching learning becomes more fruitful, becomes more enjoyable, becomes more meaningful. Ensuring private sector partnership, funding by the vocational educational training, this whole aspect is going to depend upon how we are going to outreach to the private partners, how we are going to enhance that possibility that the industries are coming closer to the academia, so that there is a frequent exchange And that frequent exchange is going to make a huge impact in the successful implementation of vocationalization of education. That is going to happen only when industry shows keen interest that, okay, we are ready to go hand in hand with you. We are ready to march ahead with you. That can only happen when we have good public-private partnership. Introducing, that is another challenge, introducing Lokavidya, indigenous knowledge and skills in schools through vocational education. Now, it's easy to say bring Loka Vidyan or Loka Vidya into it, but it's a challenging one. How we are going to bring? There are hundreds of handicrafts and hundreds of, you may say, talk about traditions, which we are doing it from years together, but somewhere they are now at the level of extinguished, at the level where we are, as I mentioned in the past, that we are forced to say that once upon a time this sort of a skill set was with us. Now we have lost their skill set. So how to bring that local vidya, and that it can be done identifying local vocational crafts and organizing internship for the students on indigenous practices. Now we are supposed to organize internships, and this internships for the students which has indigenous practices. Indigenous means which are very much their own, which is very much organic, which is very much their basics. We have to identify the local vocational craft. First has to be identified what are the local crafts which are on the verge of extinguished, which are on the verge of, they are in a great demand, but we don't have a skill articraft for it, or skilled person for it, or people for it. Identify that skills, identify that vocations, crafts which need that. Number two is identify local experts. That's a huge task, that how you're going to introduce, how you're going to have local experts, identifying the local experts and conducting internship training for students. They not be highly qualified. They may not be graduate, they may not be postgraduate, they may not be doctorate, but they are good where their local skills are concerned. They are masters of it. When we say the masters, that means we are supposed to call them, see that the students are doing internship under them. They can be the mentors, they can be the guide, they can be the facilitators. All these are to be identified by the schools and by the colleges and the universities for the different skill sets and the crafts which we are looking, and we are supposed to introduce to these experts. Community and industries partnership for vocational exposures through informal internship program. Everywhere we may not have a highly structured vocational internship. Somewhere it may go very organic, somewhere it may go very natural. Means in the what I want to say, it will go in the way that the learner will go pick up based on the pace, based on his own likeliness, based on his interest, based on his speed of acquiring it. So it's going to be learner center where the learner is going to decide and the mentor or the facilitator mutually agreed upon that how we are going to learn. It is going to be more of a informal. It cannot be 8 to 6, it cannot be 9 to 7, it cannot be 10 to 5. No. At times, it may be hands-on experience. At times, the expert may be working on a real life situation, maybe working on a project where the students can go as an interns, where they can work as an assistant, where they can be just observers in the beginning, and slowly and steadily they can pick up what the mentor is trying to show them or what the guide is trying to show them. This is another challenge which we have talked about. Another challenge which comes up is facilitating horizontal mobility of vocational students in the schools. Vertical, we can see, but horizontally, how we are going to do it? Collaborating with industrial training institutes, polytechnics, local business industries, hospitals, agriculture farms, local artists, NGOs through hub, and important skill training institutions. All this thing can be done if we have bunch of institutes, industrial training institutes, polytechniques, local business, local business industries, if something is related to the hospitals, remedies, agriculture, so we need these people so that we can probably having a best horizontal equivalence coming up. Integrating new age skill, 21st century skills, entrepreneurship education in the schools. Now it's easy to say that bring 21st century skill sets, bring entrepreneurship in the schools and the colleges. It's challenging because we have not done in the past. Now, this is something we are doing it for the first time in the schools and the institutions of the higher education. To an extent, higher education, and that too in technical, highly technical wings, we have seen it happening. But in a conventional school, in the conventional colleges, it was really, really challenges. How to mitigate this challenge? Integrating employability skills at all stages of school education. This can be done only if we can integrate employability skills. Okay, you do this skill set, you will become employable for this job. You do this, you will be becoming an entrepreneur. You do this, you can start a small business. You can do start something this. So we are supposed to collaborate and see that how this employability skills can be generated so that the student or the learner can go for it. Otherwise, if it is not a lucrative one, students will say no to it, or rather they will show up back to it, or they will not going to offer it, or they will not going to accept that offer. Integrating new technologies in vocational education training for preparing students for industries. We need to make them industrial friendly. We need to make them welcomed by the industries, and it can happen only if we are giving them the best technologies which can be integrated technologies. Can we give them hands-on experience? That is what is going to make the difference. Introducing vocational courses on new and emerging skills, demands of the industries. What the industry is demanding today? Industry is demanding far more than what the academics are providing today. So there comes the gap, okay? And what we can give, if the industry is demanding artificial intelligence, if it is demanding robotics, if it is demanding inter, Internet of Things, will be introduced to enterprise education, will be promoted on 6th onwards. National Education Policy says coding, decoding should be start at 6th. All other tinkering labs are being introduced in most of the school. And then this financial year, we are going to have more than 50,000 more. Huge number of utter tinkering lab coming in, which actually bringing the gap closer of how we can do the vocationalization. And not to my surprise, I've seen kids moving more to the innovation centers, more to the utter tinkering labs than to conventional school of teaching. They are more happy working on a hands-on experience than learning through theories. So practical aspects, which when it comes, it makes the learner more enthusiastic. It makes them more interesting. So that's the way we can do it. Another challenge which is being seen is promoting online and open vocational education. Now, we are in an era, we are in a uh, period where hybrid modes, where uh, online modes are being encouraged, are being having an impactful learning experience. So how we are going to promote online and all? Because still at times when we see it out, online education system is giving us the impact what otherwise an offline system might have given. There are debates which are going on. There are talks which are being going on. But since it is the reality of the day, which we have to accept, it is the fact of the day that we are supposed to uh, accept the technology. And we are accepting the technology in a big way. So how online and open vocational education will happen, that's a challenge. But it is happening. It is introducing new learning methods and digital tools like massive open line courses, mock is there, flipped learning, and virtual learning methods will be used for training teachers. It can be hybrid mode. You can go for offline and you can have mix of online also. Because Online has its own advantages. The same goes with the offline method. Both has its own advantages and disadvantages. Can we amalgamate them? Can we synergize with them so that it reaches to the level of most effectiveness? Then comes the challenge, developing and implementing a holistic assessment and evaluation system. Now, this is the challenge, okay? How we are going to have holistic assessment, comprehensive assessment, and evaluation system. That's a challenge when it comes to the vocational. Because in other subjects, subjects of theory, we have our own mechanism of assessment and we have our own mechanism of evaluation. But in vocational, how we are going to do it? So conduct interest assessment and aptitude test. Can we do that? Most of the schools, whether they are government, whether they are private, aided or unaided, nowadays have a psychologist, a child psychologist, or a clinical psychologist, or a vocational counselor in the schools and in the colleges. Now, these vocational counselors can do a big job in assessing the interest assessment. The interest is what is his likes, what is his dislikes, what he liked the most, what he doesn't like, but we are offering him. The aptitude is the hidden potential of a child. Can we judge? Can we assess what is the hidden potential? What he can do? What is his basic ability which can be strengthened, which can be reinforced, which can be trained, which can be retrained, which can be strengthened? It can happen only when we know what is the child's basic ability. Apart from the psychometric tests, okay, a teacher need to be highly vigilant. A teacher need to be good observer so that he or she can identify the hidden talent of the child, the hidden ability which is not coming up front. And for that, we are supposed to be a very good observer, observer of behavior, observer of what he is expressing, how he is performing, how he is communicating, how he is working as a team member, how he put innovation at the forefront, how many questions he has in his mind, level of curiosity. So many parameters can be used apart from the psychometric test to see what interests the child more, what's the potentiality of the child is more. So special abilities or readiness for learning in various vocational courses, we need to check what is the level of readiness. Is it a forceful intervention? Is it a forced thing? Sometimes it happens that people force it. Okay, you learn this way. This is the only way. No, child will learn in a different way also. So that has to be checked out, and vocational areas are to be checked out. Measuring the achievement of learning outcomes through various tools, methods such as checklist, group work, peer assessment, worksheets, presentation, student profile, from 360-degree assessment and evaluation of the student. There are many ways through which we can check out the outcomes. And the prominent outcomes which can be checked out, the tools which can be used, such as checklist. Okay, I am able to do out of 10, I am able to do 5, I am able to do 6, I am able to do 7. The more you are able to do it out, you are get away with the checklist. Group work, as I mentioned, whether the learner is capable of working in a group. At times it happens that the learner is good working individually. He's superb. He is excellent working in a individual capacity. But when it comes that he has to work in a group, and that working in a group becomes a challenge because how to communicate, how to put forward one's own opinion, one's own considerations, one's own reservations, one's own thoughts, okay, with a lot of creativity. So group work will give a new dimension to the personality, capabilities can be assessed. At the same time, peer assessment, how the peer of that particular learner, same age group learners, are rating each other, are accepting each other, are saying that this boy or my partner is equally capable of doing the same. So peer assessment, worksheets, definitely it in there. These are the typical methods of knowing whether you are able to understand the work well or not. So worksheets can be one of the ways of doing it. Presentations, definitely. You all have the presentation at the end of the day, which shows that how well you are able to understand, how well you are able to get into the depth of that. So worksheets can be one, or the presentations can be another one. Student portfolios over a period of a time, what portfolio he has worked on, whether he has enriched his basic skills, whether he has gone for more skills, more skill sets, or whether he is a dropout, whether he is just picking up one, leaving the another one. What is the status? So we need to check out through the student profiles for a 360-degree assessment and evaluation. 360 means every stakeholder can be asked about the performance, can be asked about the overt behavioral responses, his understanding of the subject through a small interview, questionnaire, or through the observation. That all can be checked out. That's another challenge which can be mitigated really well. Ensuring professional training for preparation of quality vocational training. Remember, this is the biggest challenge in bringing vocational education to the school level and to higher education. The challenges are ensuring professional training for the preparation of quality vocational teachers, the instructors, from where we are going to have the instructors, from who are going to be the best person to train our students, both at the primary school level and at the higher education. Yes, we are supposed to have this challenge. And how we are going to overcome this challenge is developing capacity of vocational teachers. That means we have to keep on doing capacity building programs for vocational teachers in use of innovative pedagogical approaches of teaching and learning. You need to bring that innovation, you need to bring that new aspect, vocational training, innovative pedagogy, because if you are going to have the same thought, if you are going to have the same methodology, same pedagogy, probably students are not going to like it. They would rather like to have more innovative based, more activity based, more case study based, more inquisitive based of training pedagogies. So a teacher need to be on the toe of learning, developing capacity of vocational teachers in an innovative way. The second aspect, which is very important, is pre-service training and short-term training courses for preparing vocational train teachers. We need to have pre-service training. Now, since we all know that, okay, the University Grant Commission has came up with an online survey, an online this, which has asked for the educational qualification for the university and the college teachers, okay. The past president of the UGC has done a uh, marathon, you may say, exercise, and then almost the draft resolutions are ready with the UGC. That what sort of the 21st century's teachers we are looking forward? Are we are looking forward for the people those who are coming from industries minds? Are we are still going to focus on academia? Are we are going to see amalgamation of both industries and academics? What is that? Okay. So we need to have certain pre-service trainings. Before joining, I need to see that, okay, which vocational skill I am empowered with, which vocational skill I am capable of it. It may be any skill set. I may be good in use of AI. I may be good in preparing my PowerPoint presentations, giving animated effects. I may be good in software, use of softwares. I may be good in so many things, but whether I'm enhancing it, and can I need to go a pre-service before employment? Do I need a 6 months course, 3 months course, a diploma, or a degree, or a certificate course, or a course of 140 hours or 60 hours? What is that precondition? As most of the preconditions right now are that you're supposed to be qualified as a net set to be a full timer in the university or the affiliated colleges. That is a prerequisite. If you are a net set and the PhD, it keeps on changing. For the university, PhD is mandatory. For the colleges, it's the net and the state. Okay. In some cases, it may be GRF or working with the science and technology department. GRF is being required in some cases. What are the prerequisites for the vocational staff? Probably the vocation, it would be that you need to have a 6 months course in this particular vocation. It can be pre-training, pre-service training, and short-term training course for preparing vocational. Short-term, and if you might have gone through the document of the National Education Policy, it talks about very clear, loud and clear, that 50 hours mandatory training is going to happen every year for the teacher. 50 hours. Now, this 50 hours training is going to be on your academics at the same time. Teachers, those who have selected for the vocational trainers, or they are being given extra responsibility of vocational teachers, they all have to go for 50 hours mandatory training. And that's a huge sum, maybe 7, 8, 9 days, 10 days training program in an academic year. So we are supposed to work on short-term training courses, vocational training and the train through online, offline mode to be offered through State Council of Educational Research and Technology. Every state has SCERT, that is State Council for Educational Research and Training. Whatever is there in the platter today, whatever syllabus the schools are teaching and the universities are teaching, they have a curriculum designed by the Board of Studies, passed in the Academic Council, goes to the Management Council, and everything is being implemented. The same thing goes in the school education system through the State Council for Educational Research and Training, which has a nomenclature of SCERT, District Institutes of Educational Training. Every district has district institutes of educational training. One can take help of these two, SCRT in a big way, which is the nodal agencies in preparing the teaching modules for different level of teachers, right from the pre-primary to the primary and middle and higher education, 11th and 12th. Whereas in higher education, we have orientation programs, we have the refresher programs, subject-based refresher programs. The same thing can go very well with the vocational training. Once the teacher is selected, but the teacher has to take the ownership. The teacher has to come forward because it's going to be something which is going to have a huge impact on our academic subjects also, because it's going to work in tandem with the vocationals also. So a teacher who is teaching a conventional subject, we will see that somewhere he is teaching a vocational subject also. So it is going to be integrated of that subject into this subject. I can give you an example. If you are a teacher of, if you are a professor or an associate professor of psychology, okay, a teacher need to have fine-tuned how the students are going to do counseling. Whether it is personal counseling, whether it is vocational counseling, whether it is about marriage counseling, whether it is about any other counseling, okay? A teacher need to have fine-tune his skills. That how a rapport is established between the client and the one who is giving the treatment. How different psychological therapies can be used, as how various psychotherapies can be used. So a teacher need to train himself very well, and that's the responsibility. It's going to come on to the conventional teachers too. We can't keep ourselves aloof. Okay, I am a teacher of English, I am a teacher of economics, I am a teacher of psychology, geography, mathematics, this. I have nothing to do with the vocational. Gone are the days. Probably these days are not there. We have to pick up a vocation of our choice. Some of you may be extraordinarily good in giving them the soft skills, because We are talking about vocational education. We are talking about all the hard skills. But how to do negotiations, how to do your own, how to make your difficult items sale in the market, how to have a comprehensive strategic planning, how to go for an interview, how to analyze, how to have behavioral checks, how you are supposed to develop your attitude of gratitude, okay, that, okay, you have accepted. So soft skills are going to come in a big way. It happens sometimes you are extraordinarily good in your hard skills, okay? You can do exceptionally good in maintenance, civil, all that, but you don't have good tone. You don't have a soft tone to speak. And that breaks the whole, your own, what I would say, hard work. So, vocational education is not only about uh, learning hard skills, learning how to work with machines, learning how to produce something. Okay, no, it is equally very well integrated with the soft skills also. Soft skills are the key. And there comes your emotional maturity, there comes your emotional intelligence, there comes your social intelligence, there comes your so many other intelligences which we have neglected over the period of a time. And there comes whether the child is able to effectively work in groups or not, whether he can work only solo. And solo works are not always demanded, okay? It is all about how we are going to navigate, how we are going to make them to learn. And that where comes the role of the SCRT, the State Council of the Educational Research. There comes the responsibility of district institution, educational training, which are supposed to customize now. And we are going to need a lot of volunteer senior college professor, associate professors, okay, mentioning what is their area of strength, what they can do the best. Are they ready to equip themselves with the new skill sets? One has to take the new responsibility of learning new skill set, because that is going to make a huge difference, and we are supposed to learn it from there. At the same time, external trainers, experts in various vocations to be invited to train the teachers. Now, the role of experts are going to come in a big way. I have my own domain knowledge of a particular subject, but I don't have a skill set which is required for something which I'm learning. So, who is going to give you that skill set? Who is going to give you that insight? Experts, external experts, people coming from other institutions with different backgrounds, with different mindsets, external trainers, experts in various vocations. They may not be from universities, they may not be from colleges. They may be doing extraordinarily well in their loka vidya. They may be doing externally well, extremely well in a particular skill set. So that is where we are supposed to ask or seek help. And yes, all these will come up when you have that mindset to learn and train the teachers, cluster resource per centers. As I have mentioned, we are going to move from individualities to clustering ourselves. So, cluster resource centers means at a district level, we may have a cluster resource center. At a different level, we may have another cluster. We may have divisions of clusters so that the best human resource can be utilized by maximum people. Okay. And digital technology, online technology has made it happen. It has made it happen previously also. It is making happening right now also. We are on a online platform now. We are reaching to how many participants today at this moment? We are reaching to 50, almost 67 participants in single go. You are from a different parts of the Maharashtra. Some may be out of the Maharashtra. Some may be out of you may say other states also. But reaching out has happened. And it has happened on what basis? It's happened on the basis of technology. We are learning online. we are going to exchange our thoughts online. We are going to put our thoughts online. So the block cluster resource centers are going to come in a big way. Block research centers are going to come in a big way. And the district institute of educational training has to play their role. The state council of education research has to play a big role. That how they are going to keep their teachers trained every moment, every time. Because technology is something which becomes redundant in few days. You can't say that I'm an expert. You can't say that I'm the best. You have to keep on improvising, 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 improvising. That means you have to keep on learning, learning, and learning, relearning, and sometimes you are supposed to erase the wrong learnings too. And you are supposed to replace it with the right learnings. And that can happen only when you are going to be trained under the mentorship of experts and those who are going to be your guide, those who are going to be your philosophers in bringing that change. Ensuring that vocational training provides meet quality standard across institution based on common norms. Everywhere, the quality is going to speak louder than the quantity. How you are delivering, what is the impact it has made on your delivery, on the students. So one has to see that happening. Fostering innovation in training of teachers through partnership between the vocational education uh, institutes and industry or research institutions. There are n numbers of opportunities which are available with us so that all this can happen. But there's need to be an intent. There need to be what I would like to say a conscious effort of learning. That innovation will come, but we need to have training, we need to have retraining, we need to have unlearning, we need to have so many things coming in a big way. Once that is being done, because to me, the success of any education policy depends solely, no doubt there are so many other key players on which this whole is going to depend. But the key substantial role which is going to be played, and that substantial role is going to be played by the teachers. How teachers take it, how teachers are open, how teachers are ready to train their old mindset to be replaced by the new mindset, how a rigid mindset is going to be replaced by a creative mindset. So a lot of things depends on the teacher's initiative, a lot of things depends upon the teacher's leadership quality, openness to receive, and at the same time passing it on to the others or not holding it to oneself. I am an expert, I will hold it to myself. No, it will not going to work. You are supposed to be the messenger. You are supposed to be the one who is going to keep on passing it to the masses. That is where the success of it is going to lie. And if a teacher is not capable, if the teacher is not close to what I would say, a perfect role model, probably we are going to have more challenges than the challenges which I have mentioned. There is always a stigma, there is always a negative thought, a judgmental approach about the vocational courses already. And since we are bringing it right from the sixth standard onwards to the higher education, to the universities, our job of removing that preconceptions or judgments will play a very, very effective and dominant role in implementing national education policy in its true sense. It will happen only and only the receptivity of the teacher. No doubt infrastructure is going to play its role. Resources are going to play its role. The resource crunch is going to make an impact. But yes, all that can be brought into it. As I mentioned, that through public-private partnership, it is going to happen. It's going to see, we are going to see that public and private partnership is going to go in a big way in successful implementation of in totality of the national education policy. But somewhere, the role of a teacher cannot be neglected. Somewhere, the teacher is going to be of a very, very significant, and there comes the role of a true facilitator. You are not supposed to teach. When it comes to the vocational education, it's not teaching, it's all by doing. The students are going to learn the way you do it. The students are going to learn more practically than in theoretically. It's going to be the combination of both, a perfect balance of 30, 70, 40, 60, 40% theory, 60% practical. It's going to be a lot of hands-on experience, because when we are going to dwell in more depth in the third and the final session of our today's talk, how universities are going to change, how colleges are going to change, because that is inevitable. That is going to happen. If we are not going to change, then the force is going to bring a change. And things which are being brought by the force, they never remain very, very permanent. But the change which comes by invitation, by myself, a call from your side, this sort of a change is going to be a sustainable change. So see that, are you going to change by your force, or are you going to change from within yourself with an open mind, with an open heart? Yes, I'm going to learn, and that I'm going to put it across to my students. Because education itself, if you talk about what Mahatma Gandhi has said about education, it should bring a transformation. It should bring a positive change. It should bring the positive change in the values. It should bring so many things positive into the child. So it will happen only when the teacher is receptive, when the teacher is okay, when the teacher is ready to change. If the teacher is not physically okay, if he's not emotionally strong, intellectually competent, and somebody who is open, probably, yes, we are going to face more challenges than the solutions. I numbered you almost 8 to 9 or 10 challenges, okay? We are going to overcome these challenges in in a part or in a full, okay? But that is going to happen since this whole national education policy is going to be implemented into the phase manner. We are definitely going to see how it happens. We have to give a try. We have to see what are the possible impacts which happens, okay? What are the possible things which may bring a positive change? And we are supposed to keep ourselves correcting, recorrecting, reassuring, redoing, and that can happen. And as I mentioned earlier, 50 hours of training every year is significant, okay? It's quite significant. And if we are being in touch with experts and others, probably it's going to make learning more enjoyable. The whole process of bringing vocational education into the mainstream education is to bring a variety, to bring a change, to bring that happiness which is missing in the schools and in the colleges. We all know that, okay, today the learner, the one who is to be having a lot of inquisitiveness, we find that the inquisitiveness has gone. The curiosity which we talk about time and again is not to the level what we all as a teacher expects that the student must have. So there are challenges, no doubt about it. We are going to see, we are going to see in the next part what challenges we are going to have and what national education policy is going to bring. It's going to bring a sea change in the perception, and it is going to only happen with the conscious effort of the teacher. Now we are going to take a conscious break of another 10 to 12 minutes. We are going to join back around, it's like 4:30 now. We'll be joining back around 4:45. And it's going to be a 15 minutes interaction, not a 15 minutes talk and 15 minutes interaction. We'll be finishing around by 5:15, max to 5:20. So see you after a 15 minutes break. Thank you very much.
सर पार्टिसिपेंट अनम्यूट करना है सर. हेलो.
We are taking a 15 minutes break and then we will be rejoining.
Yes, sir.
So we are back. Okay. आप सब लोग हैं? Are you there? Can you listen? Can you hear my voice? आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Thank you 103 for responding. Good that you can hear my voice. Okay. We are going to summarize the whole what we did. Okay. And when we talk about the skill development and skill development in education, what skill development refers to? Identifying what we have right now, what is our skill set right now, and at the same time, what are the skill gaps? As I mentioned, industries industries do have a lot of reservations when it comes to the academia and industries interface. We have seen it. One skill gap is the industry is asking something different. It always asks for bigger things than what the course or the academia gives us. So we have to identify. That is number one. Number two is learning new skills. You can't be redundant. You can't keep something that, okay, I know everything. Technology skills are always needed to be upskilled. They are also always need to be escalated. You can't be satisfied with whatever skill sets you have. So it always needs to be upskilled, improving existing ones. And that's the reason probably the NEP also gives equal importance for equivalence certifications. Equivalence in the sense there are certain, you may say, traits or certain skill sets which are not being recognized because most of these are being working in an unorganized sectors like mechanics, okay, people those who are working in garages, people those who are working in industries over the period of a time, but they don't have an equivalence certificate. So equivalence certificates is going to come in a big way in coming years, where you have a skill set and this skill set is going to be recognized by a premier institute or an institute which is authorized to give you the equivalence certificate. So it encompasses a broad range of, okay, as I mentioned, it's not just soft skills, okay? It's not about hard skills, sorry. It's about soft skills such as communication. The moment I use the word communication, what comes in our mind is it's all about how effectively you speak. That is what comes in our mind, okay? हमें बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है कि हम लोग कैसी बात कर रहे हैं वो communication skill है. Sorry to say, it's not the only, it's one part of communication. What is more important is how effectively you listen. That is something the communication skill is. Can you speak with all the courage, conviction? Can you influence the other person without having any difficulty? Can you go for it? Communication skills is the must. At the same time, are you a good critical thinker? Can you work under pressure? Can you work as a team leader, team member? Apart from the hard skills, what is more important is, and what is equally important is, whether you are capable of handling pressures, whether you are capable of handling stressful situations, whether you are capable of working in a highly competitive world. Are you having that sort of an emotional maturity and uh, emotional intelligence that you can match up and you can work under extreme challenging situations, and yet to be remain productive, and yet to remain creative, yet to give the performance as a team member? We have seen that individuals are good performers. Individuals are good performers means They are good performers in their individual capacities. The moment they are made to come and work in a group, they are having challenges. They are not able to adjust. Now, there are certain personality traits which we are supposed to understand. In soft skill, we are supposed to understand who I am. What are my capabilities? What are my strengths? What I can do the best? And that is where the whole soft skill starts. And it starts with knowing yourself to the best. And that's not an easy job. It's a very difficult job because we seldom observe our own selves. The people, those who are most of the times are observing others. These are the people, those who always see something in others, but not in themselves. So, how you will observe? Is there a problem with the voice? Can you hear my voice now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So, apart from the hard skills which the vocational training courses are going to give, no doubt about it, it's going to give you the best psychomotor skills to be learned. It's going to give you the best technology to be learned. But how effectively whatever you have learned is going to be implemented at workforce is going to come through your soft skills. It's going to come through your passion. It's going to come through your drive. It is going to come through your inner motivation. It's going to come through so many other things because skills itself is not going to give you the best. If you're not able to adjust, because a lot of multinational companies are coming in India today, okay? The top brass itself is a foreign head. They don't bring only a foreign head, they bring a culture also. And there is a set of rules, there is a set of a cultural thing which is also there. How I'm going to accommodate, how I'm going to adjust, how I'm going to be flexible, how I'm going to be a go-getter, how I'm going to be a happy man, how I'm going to be a satisfactory man at the end of my job. Because national education policy for the first time is talking about the aspiration of 21st century boy and the girl. What is that which aspires them? Okay, what makes them to keep themselves motivated? What then makes them to be the one who is very unique in themselves? Okay, so that is this something which we all are supposed to work on. That is something which we all are supposed to see apart from your hard skills, apart from your what I would say conventional technological skills. We need to have equally good soft skills also. Can we work in team, which is which is coming from diversified culture, which is coming from diversified uh, religion at times, okay? We as an Indian have a diversity in most of the things. Now the mobility has improved, okay? The connectivity between the cities have improved. Relocation has become something which was avoidable in last 2 decades are now most welcomed. People are ready to move in a very short notice also. So there are so lot many things which a learner has to learn over and above than the hard skills. I think there is some issue with some of them that they are putting it that there is no voice. But as far as HRDC is concerned, I'm again confirming. Can you hear my voice so that
Yes, sir.
yes, so if HRDC is in a position to hear my voice, I think something may be wrong with the instrument on which the other participants are sitting. So probably recheck with your instrument, okay, so that it can give you the best results. India will have the largest working age population in the world by 2030. Can you imagine? India is going to be the largest. It's going to be the force to be reckoned with. It's going to be a country which is going to supply human resources to the world. We are going to have what I would say, the best human resources if we go in the best way. And we are going to be the service provider. We are going to be the human resource provider to the world. And that's where we are supposed to make our 21st century skill-based, vocational-based learner competent enough to sustain the world itself. He should be competent enough to face the challenges, global challenges, and come up upfront in a flying color, seeing that yes, I can do it. It is increasing to have opportunities of employment for this age group, and mere academic education may not suffice the purpose. We talk about we may have the world's biggest number of graduates. We may have world's biggest number of postgraduates. Probably we are lined up with so many other degrees also, which the world may not have, the world community may not have. But is that degree suffice the matter of employability? Probably no. There comes that we are supposed to mitigate, that we are supposed to bring conventional, sorry, conventional education is supposed to be brought in coordination with the vocational. Also, mere degrees will not give us what we are aspiring for. To realize the full potential of India's rich demographic dividend, it is essential to equip young generation with skills in various trades. Probably we as a nation, if we talk about, we are so fortunate to have one season after another. We have winter, we have summer, we have rains, we have so many. We have a demography which the world may not have. We have, right now it may be summer, okay, which seems to be very, very hot right now, but the rains are expected. Then we have the winters, we have the autumn. We have seasons where we are supposed to accustom ourselves, okay? And this demographic dividend is the biggest bonus which the Indian youth enjoys today. The talent skill gap exists at various levels and it is significant. It is affecting employability scenario in almost every sector. To my best of the knowledge, there are industries which says that we are supposed to retrain your graduates. We are supposed to put them back for 6 months or a year training, in-house training. Can you imagine how big loss it is for the industries? In this whole 6 months, the person who is being employed is almost close to a non-productive person. Whereas he is coming from an engineering background or whichever background he is coming, we think that he has a skill set, but it is not matching to the skill set what the industry is asking for. And some of the industries now have stopped recruiting technical. They go with the conventional people and they retrain as per their requirements. So the gap is huge. And there are industries, those who have adopted Indian Institute of this one, basic polytechniques, okay, where they have prepared their own curriculum, where they have prepared their own evaluation, and where they give the employability opportunity also to the ones those who are completing their course from their adopted government ITIs. In Pune there are, in some other cities there are, because they don't want to retrain the people. They will get the people those which they require with their skill sets which they are asking for. So huge, what I would say gap. And that can be done only when we have a very, very successful industry and academia interface. Due to this gaps, as I said, business are unable to find and recruit talent that matches their expectation due to the lack of futuristic skill. They are not talking about present skills. They are talking about futuristic skills. The moment I say futuristic skills, that means what future asks for. If we have a gap already of 1 year, 2 year of the back, okay, how you will have a futuristic person coming into your organization, forward-looking person in your organization, if the gap is huge. We need to see that. The major reason for this inadequacies in our education system, along with the companies, not prioritizing on-job training. A huge shift that every semester, every person who is taking higher education today irrespective of their faculty, whether it is commerce, arts, or science, one semester is going to be dedicated for an internship or an apprenticeship or on-job training. It's a mandatory component. One semester, maybe sixth semester, maybe seventh semester, maybe eighth semester, depending upon the university and the industries and in and around, or the local experts or the local businessmen, everyone has to go on with hands-on experience before getting the final degree. A huge change where probably we will get close to what the industries is asking for, at least for the minimum. I'm not saying this 6 month course is going to be a game changer, but at least the boy and the girl who has an internship or an apprenticeship for 6 months will not going to feel that awkward moment which a newcomer is going to face. So a huge change semesters, every course, okay, whether it is a 1 year course, as we say that, yes, the national education policy has brought it out. If we do 1 year, then it is a certificate, 2 years, diploma, 3 years is a degree, and fourth one becomes an integrated degree. An integrated degree will have 1 semester of vocational training for sure. NEP 2020 will help bridge this gap by providing students with industry relevant skills so as to make them future ready professional. We all are supposed to make our student future ready. It will happen only if they are able to do well in the present scenario. If they are equipped well in the present, they can go for future jobs much better, future challenges much better. Employability of the students will have to be addressed in a planned manner with a futuristic vision. Whether we have a manpower planning, okay, we talk about whether India needs thousands and thousands and thousands of engineers today. What sort of a skill set we need? Can we have a proper human resource manpower forecasting? Can we have that? It's a big, big exercise which the industry and the academia has to take into consideration, that if we are going to produce lakhs of engineers every year, whether we have employability for these lakhs, whether we have entrepreneurship development program for them, whether we have startup programs for them, what type of opportunities we are providing to them is a big, big challenge for us. NEP 2020 further envisions that vocational courses will be available to students enrolled in bachelor degree programs, including, as I mentioned, 4 year multidisciplinary bachelor program everywhere. Since we are thinking of taking the gross enrollment ratio up to 50, imagine what we can do. Imagine what internship programs in the grades can do. So that NEP, this NEP is very much forward-looking. The pivotal role played by NEP in promoting skill development program, recognizing the role of NEP in skill development, the government has introduced exhaustive framework and integrated skill development across all education. It is not done in isolation. It is across the spectrum, across the classes. It is across the educational parameters. Okay. Everyone has to go through skill development training. From the foundational age to higher education, the aim of NEP is to equip students with the vital competencies and abilities to thrive in rapidly growing world. It is every moment the things change. Every moment the technology change. There are breakthroughs happening. There are innovations happening. AI is bringing radical changes. Are we equipped? Is our educational system is equipped? NEP is looking from that perspective. The role of NEP in skill development is to create generation of skilled students ready to take up the challenges, opportunities of the future. We are supposed to equip them. We are supposed to make them ready to face the challenges, whatever challenges are coming up in a big way. The government of India has initiated various convergence efforts across skill employment ecosystem. It is Skill India Mission. Big way, Skill India Mission has come up. Integration of various, what I would say, ministries, 21 ministries coming together and looking into consciously that what change can be brought into it. Under the mission, more than, as I said, 21 central ministry departments are implementing skill development schemes, programs to enhance skill levels of millions of people, including school children, on a pan-India basis to create skilled workforce as per the needs of the industries. What the industries is asking for, if we can cater that, probably the unemployability will definitely vanish. Today, since the gap is more, and that's the reason we see that unemployability is more. The Department of School Education, literally mission implementing the scheme of vocationalization of school education under the centrally sponsored Samagra Shiksha by aligning it with the aims of Skill India mission. Samagra Shiksha is there. All inclusive, holistic education has to be given, and it's coming up in a big way. The scheme aims at integrating vocational education with general academic education in all secondary, primary schools and taking to the universities and institution of higher education. The basic aim is to enhance the employability, to enhance the entrepreneurial abilities of the students, providing exposure to the work environment, and generating awareness amongst students about various career options so as to enable them to make a choice in accordance with their aptitude, competency, and aspirations. Previously, nobody used to talk about the aspiration. This national education policy, for the first time, is talking about a individual's aspiration. What aspires you? What motivates you? What is your aim of life at the end of the day? National education policy is going to be a game changer. The scheme covers government, aided, unaided, self-financed, everyone. It cannot work in isolation. So every aspect, but coming back, all these things, they are beautifully written, beautifully crafted, beautifully drafted by the late chairman of the National Education Policy. We lost a visionary person just 2 days back, okay, the Kasturi Ranjan ji, who was the architecture of our National Education Policy 2020. But the success will completely depend on the seriousness, on the commitment, receptivity of the teacher, only the teacher. So we as a teacher, are we ready? I'm not saying assistant professor, professors, or somebody else. I'm telling you, rather I would like to say addressing you as a teacher because you are a game changer. If you think changes, if you think positively, change is going to happen. We have last few minutes. If you have a question, you can definitely ask. We will be winding around 5:15. If you have questions, you are most welcome. And on top of it, you can very well give your feedback in the window, whether it was, what I would say, made any difference in your thought process, how employability is going to make a big change, or the skill sets and the various agencies, those who are working for the 21st century skills. Whether our children have a lot of patience today or not is a big question. Whether they have the temperament, whether they can hold on to their, what I would say, anger, okay, displacement of anger, where this youth is moving. We need to somewhere need to work on this aspect. And this can be worked only by teachers, those who have taken up this gigantic task, because you all are dealing with adults, adolescents. They have creativity, no doubt about it. But as a teacher, you need to become a facilitator, a navigator to them, so that you can pitch in, you can see that what aspires them, what they can make it, okay. Seeing, and for that, as a facilitator, I need to be well equipped. I need to be ahead than that. I need to be ahead with the chat GPT. I need to be ahead with the AI. I need to be, because that intuition, that intuitive knowledge, even AI will not able to give. Even chat GPT is not going to give. Perspectives cannot be. Understanding your own student relationship ki chat GPT is not going to give it. See that you have a golden opportunity in shaping the future of India. And that can be done if we have skilled mindset. There is one say which says, skill hai to kal hai. If you have a skill set, you can beat anything in the world. With that sort of a dedication and the skills with that sort of a value system, sometimes we find out the skill is there, but the value system is weak. And that is not going to work. We need an equal good value system also. जिसको कह सकते हैं कि हमारे को कौशल्य के साथ में संस्कार भी चाहिए. सिर्फ कौशल्य से लेके नहीं होगा, उसमें संस्कारों की भी जोड़ लगने वाली है. अगर संस्कार आए तो वक्त की कीमत होगी. अगर संस्कार नहीं है, मेरे पास स्किल बहुत ज्यादा है लेकिन मैं उसकी वक्त की कीमत ही नहीं करता हूँ, तो मैं कितना कितना अपने राष्ट्र का नुकसान कर रहा हूँ, शायद उसकी मेरे को अहमियत नहीं पता चलेगी. ये होता है ना, कई बार आपके घर की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी खराब हो गई है, आपके यहाँ का पानी का टैप खराब हो गया है, वो बहते जा रहा है, आप किसी प्लम्बर को फोन करो, वो बोलता है मैं आता हूँ आधे घंटे के बाद में, मैं आता हूँ 1 घंटे के बाद में. तब तक आपका नेचुरल रिसोर्स कितना वेस्ट हो चुका है. वो वाटर जो बाहर किसी और काम के लिए आप यूज कर सकते हैं, आप नहीं यूज कर पा रहे हो. तो स्किल के साथ में क्या चाहिए हमें? वैल्यूज भी चाहिए. और वो वैल्यूज कहाँ से आएंगी? हम सब में से आएंगी. अगर हम वक्त की कीमत करेंगे, बच्चे कीमत करेंगे. अगर हम तत्पर रहेंगे, बच्चे तत्पर रहेंगे. अगर हम इंटीग्रिटी से रहेंगे, बच्चे इंटीग्रिटी से रहेंगे. तो आपको एक बहुत अच्छा रोल मॉडल बनना होगा. और वो रोल मॉडल कौन बन सकता है? जो बोले एक और करे भी एक ही. जो बोले एक और करे दूसरा, तो शायद हम लोग बच्चों में ज्यादा कंफ्यूजन देंगे rather than clarity. So with this, I'm winding up my session on skill development in accordance with the National Education Policy 2020. आप अपने फीडबैक्स चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हैं. यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम टू पुट इट इनटू द चैट बॉक्स and I will be more than happy to read them, okay? Whenever I get the time, you are most welcome to put your comments in the chat box. हाँ, एक कोशिश की हमने कि हम आपके जितनी भी समस्याएं हैं उनको कहीं ना कहीं समाधान दे सकें. Yes, I try to be more precise and try to be more informative in my presentation. Thank you very much, all the participants right now, roll number 1, roll number 14, roll number 3, Dr. Majid Sheikh, everyone, roll number 41, okay? And here's the one who has said great perspectives. I'm not able to see the roll number, but yes, that is there. So yes, any questions or should we wind up? Thank you very much for your patience listening. So we'll wind up the session over here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.